The shuttle landed on the golden platform with a soft hum. Ho stepped out and looked at the world around him. The sky was purple. The buildings touched the clouds. Everything was made of white stone and shining metal. This was Prime, the heart of the Empire. He was 32 years old. He had black hair cut short and a scar on his left cheek from an old fight. His body was strong but not large. He wore simple black clothes and carried no weapons. They did not allow humans to carry weapons on their world. A tall figure walked toward him. The alien stood over 7 feet tall. His skin was pale blue and his eyes were gold like coins. He wore silver armor that caught the light of the twin suns. "You are the human?" the alien asked. His voice was deep and cold. "I am Ho," he answered. "I am here for the security contract." The alien looked at him for a long moment. His golden eyes moved up and down, studying every part of Ho's body. There was no respect in that look. There was only judgment. "I am Commander," the alien said. "I lead the Royal Guard. You will work under my command." "I understand." "Do you?" Stepped closer. He was so tall that Ho had to look up to meet his eyes. "You are here because the Galactic Council requires it. They say all royal security teams must include members from different species, so we must take a human." Ho said nothing. He had heard words like this before. Many alien species thought humans were weak. They were small. They had no natural weapons, no claws, no armor on their skin, no ability to see in the dark or hear sounds from far away. "You will guard Princess during the summit of 7 worlds," continued. "You will stand where I tell you to stand. You will not speak unless spoken to. You will not touch anything. And you will not embarrass the Empire." "I will do my job," Ho said simply. Made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Your job is to be seen, nothing more. The real protection comes from us." He turned and walked away. Ho followed. They moved through the palace. The halls were wide enough for 10 people to walk side by side. The walls were covered with paintings of history, great battles, ancient kings, ships flying through space. In every image they stood tall and proud. Ho saw no humans in any of the paintings. They came to a large door made of dark wood. 2 guards stood on each side. They looked at Ho with the same cold eyes as. "The princess is inside," said. "You will meet her now. Remember what I told you." The doors opened. The room was beautiful. Soft light came from crystals in the ceiling. Plants with blue leaves grew in silver pots. A pool of clear water sat in the center of the floor, and beside the pool stood Princess. She was tall like all, but her movements were soft and graceful. Her skin was a lighter blue than the guards, almost silver in the gentle light. Her hair was white and fell past her shoulders like water. Her eyes were the same gold as the others, but there was something different in them, something sharp, something watching. She wore a dress of deep purple that moved like smoke when she walked. "So this is the human," she said. Her voice was clear and musical, but there was no warmth in it. Ho bowed his head slightly. "Your Highness, I am Ho. I am honored to serve." Walked around him in a slow circle. He felt her eyes on his back, his arms, his face. He stood still and let her look. "You are smaller than I expected," she said, "even for a human." "Size is not everything, Your Highness." She stopped in front of him. One of her eyebrows rose slightly. "Is that what humans tell themselves?" "It is what experience has taught me." For a moment something flickered in her golden eyes. Interest perhaps, or maybe just amusement. Then it was gone. "The summit begins tomorrow," she said. "Leaders from 7 worlds will gather here. Some of them do not want peace. Some of them would be happy to see me dead." She paused. "Do you understand what you are protecting?" "I understand that your life has value," Ho said. "That is enough." Stared at him. The room was very quiet, even seemed surprised by the answer. "Value," she repeated softly. "An interesting word from a species that sells its services to the highest bidder." "Everyone serves something, Your Highness. I choose to serve people who need protection. And if I do not want your protection, Ho met her golden eyes without fear. Then I will protect you anyway. That is my job. The princess said nothing for a long moment. Then she turned away and walked back to the pool. Leave me, she said, both of you. Grabbed Ho's arm and pulled him toward the door. His grip was strong enough to leave bruises, but Ho did not react. Outside the room, pushed him against the wall. You speak too much, the commander said. She is royalty, you are nothing, remember your place. Ho straightened his clothes calmly. I remember my place. I am here to keep her alive. Everything else is just noise. His golden eyes burned with anger. For a moment, Ho thought the alien might hit him, but then stepped back. The summit begins at dawn. Be ready. He walked away, his armor making soft sounds with each step. Ho stood alone in the hallway. He looked at the paintings on the walls, all those proud faces looking down at him, all those golden eyes full of judgment. He had been in places like this before. He had worked for species who thought humans were insects. He had protected people who hated him. It was never easy, but it was always simple. Keep them alive. That was all that mattered. But something about Princess stayed in his mind. The way she had looked at him, the sharp intelligence in her eyes. She was not just some spoiled royal. There was steel inside her, hidden beneath the cold words and beautiful face. She was in real danger. He could feel it. Something bad was coming to this summit, something that all the guards with their silver armor could not stop. Ho walked to his small room in the servants' area of the palace. He sat on the bed and closed his eyes. Tomorrow, everything would begin. He did not know then that tomorrow would change everything. He did not know that he would face death itself. And he did not know that his small, fragile human body would do something impossible. But the universe has a strange way of showing what humans are truly made of. And they were about to learn a lesson they would never forget. The great hall of the palace was filled with light and color. Banners from 7 different worlds hung from the ceiling. Each one told a story of power and history. The banner was the largest, purple and gold, showing a great bird with wings of fire. Ho stood near the eastern wall, 3 meters behind Princess. He wore the same black clothes as yesterday. He had no weapon, no armor, nothing but his eyes and his instincts. Around him stood the real guards, soldiers in their silver armor, each one carrying a plasma rifle. They looked like statues made of metal and pride. None of them looked at Ho. He did not exist to them. The hall was full of aliens from many worlds. He saw the tall and thin with skin like tree bark. He saw the short and wide with 4 arms. He saw the who floated above the ground and spoke in whispers. Each group kept to themselves, watching the others with careful eyes. Princess stood on a raised platform beside her father, Emperor. The Emperor was old but still strong. His blue skin had faded to gray in places, but his golden eyes were bright and sharp. He wore a crown of black metal that seemed to eat the light around it. Welcome, the Emperor's voice filled the hall. Welcome to the summit of 7 worlds. We gather here in peace to speak of the future. May wisdom guide our words. The other leaders nodded and spoke their own greetings. The formal words went back and forth, empty and polite. Ho did not listen to them. He was watching the crowd. Something felt wrong. He could not explain it. There was no clear sign of danger. No one was acting strange. But deep in his chest, in that place where instinct lived, something was screaming. He looked at the guards. They stood still and proud. He looked at the guests. They smiled and talked. He looked at the servants moving through the crowd with drinks and food. Then he saw it. One of the servants was moving differently. His steps were too careful. His eyes were looking everywhere except at the people around him, and his right hand stayed close to his body, hidden under his tray. Ho's heart began to beat faster. He looked at the servant's face. It was a face, blue skin and golden eyes, But something was wrong with the eyes. They were too focused, too hungry. The servant was getting closer to the platform, closer to the princess. Ho moved without thinking. He pushed through the crowd, ignoring the angry voices around him. A guard grabbed his arm. "Human, what are you doing?" Ho pulled free and kept moving. He had no time to explain, no time to ask for help. He could only trust what his body was telling him. The servant reached into his coat. Time slowed down. Ho saw the weapon come out. It was a small plasma pistol, illegal and deadly. The servant raised it toward Princess. His finger touched the trigger. The princess turned and saw the gun. Her golden eyes went wide. For one frozen moment she looked like a child, young and afraid. Ho jumped. He threw his body between the princess and the gun. He felt himself flying through the air, his arms reaching out, his chest facing the weapon. The gun fired. The plasma bolt hit him in the center of his chest. It was like being punched by a star. Heat and pain exploded through his body. He felt his skin burn. He felt his bones crack. He felt his heart stop. Then he felt nothing at all. He hit the ground hard. The world became dark and quiet. He could hear sounds far away like voices underwater, screaming, shouting, the sound of more weapons firing. Someone was above him, blue skin, gold eyes. She was saying something. Her mouth was moving, but he could not hear the words. Her face was strange, different. There were tears in her golden eyes, tears for him. Why would a princess cry for a human? The darkness grew deeper. The pain faded. Everything faded. Ho felt himself falling into a great black ocean, sinking down and down and down. So this is death, he thought. It is not so bad. He thought of his home, Earth, the small apartment where he grew up, the smell of his mother's cooking, the sound of rain on the windows, simple memories from a simple life. He thought of all the people he had protected over the years, the scared ones, the angry ones, the ones who never said thank you. He had kept them alive, and that was enough. And now he had kept the princess alive. A cold princess who called him nothing, but alive. That was all that mattered. The darkness wrapped around him like a blanket. He was ready to sleep forever. But somewhere, very far away, something else was happening. The great hall had become chaos. Guards surrounded the emperor and princess. The assassin lay dead on the floor, shot by 20 plasma bolts. Guests were screaming and running. And was on her knees, beside the human's body. "Get her away," Commander shouted. "The human is dead. We must protect the princess." But did not move. She stared at Ho's burned chest, at the hole where the plasma had entered. His eyes were closed. His face was calm. "He jumped," she whispered. "He jumped in front of me." "He was a fool," said. "Any guard would have done the same." "No," shook her head. "You were all watching the wrong places. Only he saw the danger. Only he moved." She reached out and touched Ho's face. His skin was still warm. "Why?" she asked the body. "Why would you die for someone who treated you like dirt?" The body did not answer. The royal doctors arrived. They looked at Ho and shook their heads. "The wound is lethal," the head doctor said. "No creature can survive a direct plasma hit to the heart. He is dead." "Take him to the healing chamber anyway," commanded. "Now." "Your Highness, there is no point. Human bodies are weak. Even if he was alive, we could not." "I said now." His voice was like thunder. The doctors looked at each other, then at Commander, shrugged. "Do as she says. He earned that much." They put Ho's body on a floating bed and carried him away. Watched them go. Her hands were shaking. "Your Highness," the Emperor said softly. He had walked up behind her. "You are unhurt." "Because of him," she pointed at the disappearing bed. "He saved me, Father. A human saved me." The Emperor looked at the blood on the floor. Red blood, so different from blue. Such strange creatures, these humans. "He did his duty," the Emperor said. It was more than duty. Turned to face her father. Did you see his eyes in that last moment? There was no fear, no regret, only purpose. The Emperor had no answer for that. In the healing chamber, the doctors placed Ho's body on a table. They connected machines to his chest, more out of routine than hope. The screens showed nothing. No heartbeat, no brain activity, nothing but the flat lines of death. Record time of death, the head doctor said. Cycle 47, third rotation. Cause plasma wound to the chest. Species human. He turned away to fill out the reports. Behind him, one of the machines made a small sound. Then another. And another. The doctor turned back to the screens. His golden eyes went wide. The flat lines were not flat anymore. Something impossible was happening. The human's heart was starting to beat again. The darkness was warm and quiet. Ho floated in it like a leaf on still water. There was no pain here, no worry, no memory of plasma fire or burning flesh, just peace. But something was pulling him back. At first it was small, like a distant voice calling his name. Then it grew stronger, a rope around his chest dragging him up through the black water. He did not want to go. The darkness was comfortable. The light above was full of pain. But his body had other plans. He opened his eyes. White light hit him like a hammer. He closed his eyes again, groaning. Every part of his body hurt. His chest felt like someone had put hot coals inside it. His arms and legs were heavy like stone. He is awake, a voice high and surprised. The human is awake. Ho tried to open his eyes again. This time he did it slowly, letting the light come in piece by piece. He was lying on a soft bed in a white room. Strange machines surrounded him, making gentle sounds. Tubes connected to his arms carried blue liquid into his body. 3 doctors stood beside his bed. Their golden eyes were wide with shock. One of them was holding a tablet and shaking his head again and again. "This is impossible," the doctor whispered. "Absolutely impossible." Ho tried to speak. His throat was dry and rough. What happened? The doctors looked at each other. None of them seemed to know what to say. "You died," the head doctor finally said. "Your heart stopped for 12 minutes. We recorded your death. And then," he held up the tablet, "then your heart started beating again, by itself." Ho blinked. 12 minutes. He had been dead for 12 minutes. He should still be dead. No one came back after 12 minutes. "How?" he asked. "We do not know." The doctor moved closer, studying Ho's face like he was some strange animal. "Your wound was lethal. The plasma burned through muscle and bone. It destroyed your heart, completely destroyed it." He paused. "But when we looked again an hour later, the heart had begun to repair itself." "That is not possible," Ho said. "We know." The doctor's voice was almost angry. "Human bodies are the weakest in the galaxy. You have no natural healing ability. You cannot regrow limbs. You cannot survive in space. You are fragile." He pointed at Ho's chest. "But your body did something we have never seen. It refused to die." Ho looked down at his chest. There was a bandage over his heart, white and clean. Under it he could feel new skin, tight and sensitive. He remembered the plasma bolt hitting him, the fire, the darkness, the princess's face above him, tears in her golden eyes. "The princess. Is she safe?" Ho asked. "Princess, is she alive?" The doctors looked surprised by the question. "Yes," one of them said. "Because of you, the assassin was killed. The princess was not harmed." Ho let out a long breath. Good, he had done his job. Whatever happened next did not matter. She was alive. The door to the room opened. Commander walked in, followed by 4 guards. His face was hard to read, but his golden eyes kept moving to Ho's chest. "Leave us," told the doctors. They left quickly, still looking at Ho like he was a ghost. Stood at the end of the bed. For a long moment he said nothing, just stared. "I saw you die," he finally said. "I saw the plasma hit your heart. I saw you fall. There was no life in your eyes." "I remember," Ho said. Then how are you here? How are you speaking to me? I do not know. His hands closed into fists. That is not good enough. The entire court is talking about this. The other species at the summit are asking questions. They want to know what kind of creature can survive a lethal plasma wound. I am just a human. No, stepped closer. You are something else, something we did not expect. His voice dropped lower. The Emperor wants to see you. As soon as you can walk, you will be brought before the court. Ho nodded slowly. He had expected this. When you do something impossible, powerful people want answers. Can I have some water first? He asked. Stared at him for a moment. Then, surprisingly, he almost smiled. You take a lethal blast and wake up asking for water. Perhaps humans are stranger than we thought. He turned and left the room. Ho lay back on the bed and closed his eyes. His body was tired, so tired, but his mind would not rest. It kept returning to the same question, how? He had been shot before, stabbed, burned, broken. He had always healed, but never like this, never from death itself. What had changed? Or had something always been different about him, hidden deep inside, waiting for the right moment to wake up? He did not have answers. Maybe there were no answers. Maybe some things just happened, strange and unexplained, and you had to accept them. The door opened again. This time, the footsteps were softer. Ho opened his eyes and saw Princess standing beside his bed. She looked different than before. The coldness in her face was gone. In its place was something complicated, a mix of confusion and curiosity and something else he could not name. You are awake, she said. Her voice was quiet. Your Highness. Ho tried to sit up, but pain shot through his chest. He fell back with a grunt. Do not move, sat down in a chair beside the bed. The doctors say you need rest, a lot of rest. I am fine. You died 12 minutes ago. You are not fine. Ho wanted to argue, but he was too tired. He just looked at her, waiting. Was quiet for a long moment. She seemed to be searching for words. Why did you do it? She finally asked. Why did you jump in front of that blast? I treated you badly. I called you nothing. Why would you die for me? Ho thought about the question. It was a good question. He had asked himself the same thing in those last moments before the darkness took him. Because it was right, he said simply. That is not an answer. It is the only answer I have. He looked at her golden eyes. You are a person. You were in danger. I could help, so I helped. Everything else, the way you treated me, the things you said, none of that matters when someone is about to die. Stared at him. Her lips parted slightly, like she wanted to say something but could not find the words. Humans, she finally whispered, you are very strange creatures. So I have been told. She almost smiled. It was small and quick there and gone in a heartbeat, but Ho saw it. The court will have many questions for you, she said. My father, the other leaders, they will want to understand how you survived. I do not have answers for them. I know, but they will ask anyway. She stood up. I will speak to my father. I will try to protect you from the worst of it. Ho blinked in surprise. You would do that for me. You died for me. Her voice was firm. The least I can do is make sure you do not suffer for surviving. She walked to the door and stopped. Rest now, Ho. Tomorrow you face the court. She left without looking back. Ho lay in the quiet room, listening to the soft sounds of the machines. Tomorrow would be difficult. Powerful aliens asking questions he could not answer. Suspicious eyes watching his every move. But for now, in this moment, he felt something unexpected. Hope. The princess had used his name. Not the human or nothing or creature. His name. It was a small thing, but small things can change everything. He closed his eyes and let sleep take him. Tomorrow he would face whatever came. Tonight he would rest and heal. And somewhere deep inside his chest, his new heart beat strong and steady, keeping him alive against all the rules of the universe. The throne room was the largest space Ho had ever seen. The ceiling was so high that clouds could form beneath it. The walls were covered in gold and crystal, catching light from 1,000 floating lamps. The floor was polished stone that reflected everything like dark water. And it was full of aliens. They stood in groups along the edges of the room, hundreds of them from 7 different worlds. The in their silver armor, the tall with their bark-like skin, the four-armed, the floating, and others, species Ho had only heard about in stories. All of them were watching him. Ho walked slowly down the center of the room. His chest still hurt with every step, but he kept his back straight and his face calm. 2 guards walked behind him, their footsteps loud on the stone. At the end of the room sat Emperor on his black throne. Princess stood beside him, dressed in a gown of deep blue. Her golden eyes followed Ho as he approached. He stopped 10 meters from the throne and bowed his head. "Your Majesty," he said, "you sent for me." Emperor leaned forward. His crown seemed to absorb all the light around it, making his gray face look like stone. "Human," the Emperor said, his voice filled the entire room. "You stand before the court of 7 worlds. 3 days ago you took a lethal plasma wound to protect my daughter. 2 days ago you died, and now you stand here alive and speaking." He paused. "Explain." Ho looked up at the Emperor. "I cannot explain, Your Majesty. I do not understand it myself." A murmur ran through the crowd. Voices whispered in many languages. "You cannot or you will not." The question came from somewhere on the left. Ho turned and saw an ambassador stepping forward. His skin was dark brown and his eyes were like black holes. "I cannot," Ho repeated. "I am a simple soldier. I have no special powers, no advanced technology. I am just a human." "Just a human," they repeated. "Humans are the weakest species in known space. Your bodies break easily. Your lives are short. You cannot survive in vacuum or extreme temperatures. You need constant food and water and air." He walked closer, his long legs making slow steps. "And yet you survived a wound that would kill any of us instantly." "Yes." "How?" "I do not know." They made a sound of frustration. "This is not acceptable. You must know something. Did you have hidden armor, a personal shield, some kind of human medical technology we do not understand?" "No, I had nothing. Ho searched for words. "I just did not die." More whispers, more looks of doubt and fear. An ambassador pushed forward, his 4 arms moving restlessly. "Perhaps the human is lying. Perhaps this is some kind of trick, a plan by Earth to make other species afraid." "That is foolish," another voice said. "What would humans gain from such a trick?" "Power, influence. They could claim to be immortal." The room erupted in arguments. Different species shouted at each other. Old conflicts and new fears mixed together into chaos. "Silence!" Emperor's voice cut through everything. The room went quiet instantly. "You will not turn my court into a market of screaming animals." The aliens stepped back, lowering their heads. The Emperor looked at Ho again. "Human, we have studied your body while you slept. Our doctors found something interesting." Ho felt cold. What did they find? "Your cells are different from what we expected. When they are damaged, they do not simply heal, they rebuild, better than before." The Emperor stood up from his throne. "We have seen healing abilities in many species, that can regrow limbs, that can close wounds in minutes, but your cells do something else entirely. They learn from damage, they become stronger." The room was completely silent now. "We believe," the Emperor continued, "that this ability has always existed in humans, hidden, dormant, waiting for the right trigger." He walked down the steps of his throne. "When the plasma hit your heart, your body faced total destruction, and in that moment this hidden ability woke up." Ho's head was spinning. This could not be real. Humans were weak. Everyone knew that. They were the underdogs of the galaxy, surviving through cleverness and numbers, not through strength. "Are you saying," he started. I am saying that humans may be more dangerous than anyone realized. The Emperor stopped in front of him. They were almost the same height. Your species has always confused us. You are physically weak, but you spread across the galaxy faster than any other species. You lose battles, but you win wars. You die in millions, but you always come back. His golden eyes narrowed. Now we may understand why. This is just me, Ho said. One human, it does not mean all humans. Perhaps, perhaps not. The Emperor turned to face the crowd. I have made a decision. This human saved my daughter's life. Whatever he is, whatever secrets his body holds, he acted with honor, and honor must be rewarded. Stepped forward. Her face was unreadable, but her eyes were bright. Father, she said, what will you do? I will make him part of our household. The Emperor looked at Ho. You will no longer be a contract worker. You will no longer answer to commander. From this day forward, you are under the direct protection of the crown. Ho blinked. Your Majesty, I am not sure. This is not a request. It is a command. The Emperor's voice was final. You saved the heir to my throne. In law, such an act creates a bond. You are now part of our house with all the rights and protections that brings. The crowd murmured again, but this time the sounds were different. Not fear or anger, something closer to respect. Commander stepped forward. His face was tight with some emotion Ho could not read. Your Majesty, said carefully, with respect, this is unprecedented. No human has ever held such a position. The other houses will question. Let them question. The Emperor turned back to his throne. My daughter lives because of this human. That is the only answer they need. He sat down and raised one hand. It is decided. The court is dismissed. The aliens began to file out of the room, still talking in low voices. Many of them looked at Ho as they passed. Some looks were curious. Some were hostile. Some were afraid. Ho stood alone in the center of the room, trying to understand what had just happened. He had come to this world as a disposable guard, expected to stand in corners and stay quiet. Now he was part of the royal household. Walked toward him. She stopped a few steps away. You look confused, she said. I am, he looked at her. I did not ask for this. I know, but my father is right. What you did created a bond. In our culture, saving a life means your fates are now connected. She tilted her head slightly. You may not understand it, but it is real to us. I saved you because it was right, not for rewards. I know that too. For the first time's voice was soft, almost gentle. That is why the reward matters, because you did not expect it. She reached out and touched his arm. Her fingers were cool against his skin. Come, I will show you to your new rooms. They are much better than the servant quarters. Ho let her lead him out of the throne room. His mind was still full of questions. What was happening to his body? What did it mean for other humans? What would his new life look like? But for now, walking beside the princess he had died to save, he allowed himself to feel something he had not felt in years. Belonging. He was no longer just a human in an alien world. He was something more, something new. And the galaxy would have to learn what that meant. 1 week had passed since the court's decision. Ho stood on a balcony high above the palace, watching the twin suns set behind the crystal towers of the city. The purple sky was turning to deep red and gold. Somewhere below, the streets were full of going about their lives, unaware of the human watching from above. His new room was 3 times larger than his old one. The bed was soft. The walls were painted with scenes of distant planets. A window stretched from floor to ceiling, showing the most beautiful view he had ever seen. He did not feel like he deserved any of it. The door behind him opened. He did not need to turn around to know who it was. In the past week, he had learned to recognize her footsteps. You are thinking too much again, Princess said. She walked up beside him and looked at the sunset. How did you know? Your shoulders, when you think they get tight, she smiled slightly. I have been watching. Ho looked at her. She was wearing simpler clothes today, a soft white dress without jewels or decoration. Her white hair was tied back in a simple braid. She looked less like a princess and more like a normal person. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "You saved my life. You can ask me anything. Why did you request me as your permanent guardian? You could have anyone, the best soldiers, aliens with real powers. Why choose the human who already died once?" Was quiet for a moment. She watched the sun sink lower, their light painting her silver skin in warm colors. "Do you know what my life was like before you came?" she said. "I was surrounded by guards, but I was alone. Everyone wanted something from me: power, influence, a connection to the throne. No one saw me as a person. And I am different." "Yes," she turned to face him. "When you jumped in front of that blast, you did not think about politics. You did not calculate what you might gain. You just acted to save me." Her golden eyes held his. "No one has ever done that, not really, not without wanting something back." Ho did not know what to say. He was not used to such honest words from someone so powerful. "I am not special," he finally said. "I am just a soldier who got lucky." "Lucky?" laughed softly. "You call surviving a lethal plasma wound lucky. What else would I call it?" "I would call it extraordinary." She stepped closer. "Ho, I have read about humans, your history, your struggles. Your people have faced extinction many times, wars, diseases, disasters, and every time you survived. Not because you were the strongest or the fastest, but because you refused to give up." She placed her hand on his chest, right over the scar where the plasma had hit. "This is what makes humans different, not your muscles or your technology, your will, your stubborn, impossible refusal to accept death." Ho felt his heart beating under her palm, the new heart that should not exist. "The other species do not understand this," continued. "They see humans as weak. They laugh at your short lives and soft bodies, but I think they are afraid. Deep down, they know that a species which can fight against death itself is something to be feared." "I am not trying to make anyone afraid." "I know, and that makes it even more powerful." She stepped back, but her eyes stayed on his face. "I requested you as my guardian because I trust you, not because of your new abilities, not because my father ordered it, because when I look at you I see someone real, someone who will tell me the truth, even when it is hard." Ho nodded slowly. "I can do that." "Good, because the truth right now is that the galaxy is changing." Walked to the edge of the balcony and looked out at the city. "The other species saw what happened to you. They are asking questions, sending scientists, demanding answers about human biology." "What will happen?" "I do not know. Some will try to understand. Some will try to use this knowledge. And some," she paused, "some will see humans as a threat that needs to be stopped." Ho joined her at the railing. "Then we will face it together." Looked at him. Something in her expression softened. "Together," she repeated. "I like that word." They stood in silence as the suns disappeared below the horizon. The sky turned dark, and strange stars began to appear, constellations Ho did not recognize. "Tell me about Earth," said suddenly. "What do you want to know?" "Everything. I want to understand where you come from, the place that creates people like you." Ho thought for a moment. "Earth is small, much smaller than this world. The sky is blue, not purple. We have one sun and one moon, and the people there are always fighting each other over stupid things." "That sounds terrible." "Sometimes it is," he smiled slightly. "But sometimes it is beautiful. The way sunlight comes through clouds, the sound of rain on leaves, the smell of food cooking in the morning." He looked at her. "Humans make art and music and stories. We build things just because they are beautiful. We love people we will never meet. We hope for futures we will never see." Listened with her golden eyes wide. "That is what humans are," Ho said. "Not our weakness or our strength. Our ability to find meaning in a universe that gives us none." For a long moment, Neither of them spoke. Then reached out and took his hand. Her fingers were cool, but the gesture was warm. It was not a princess touching a guard. It was one person reaching out to another. "Thank you," she said softly. "For what?" "For showing me that I was wrong about humans, about you." She squeezed his hand gently. "I used to think strength was everything, power and control and force, but you have taught me something different. True strength is not about what you can destroy. It is about what you are willing to protect." Ho felt something shift in his chest, not his strange new heart, something deeper, something that had been closed for a very long time. "I will protect you," he said, "not because you are a princess, not because your father commands it, because you are worth protecting." Smiled. It was the most real smile he had ever seen on her face. "And I will protect you," she said. "You may have a new heart, but you are still fragile in many ways. We will protect each other." They stood together on the balcony as night fell over the alien city. Two people from different worlds, bound by blood and sacrifice, and something new growing between them. The galaxy was changing, old rules were breaking, new possibilities were appearing. And at the center of it all was a simple truth that the universe was only beginning to understand. Humans do not give up. They do not accept the impossible. They do not lie down and die when the universe tells them to. They get up, they fight, they protect what matters. And sometimes, against all odds, they win. Ho looked at the stars above him. Somewhere out there, billions of humans lived on thousands of worlds, each one carrying that same stubborn fire inside them. He was just one man, one small human in a vast galaxy. But he had died and come back. He had saved a princess. He had changed the way an empire saw his species. And he knew with complete certainty that this was only the beginning. The story of humans among the stars was just getting started. And it was going to be extraordinary.